It's time for a little bit of intellectual anarchy, where we engage in extreme truth, extreme common sense, and diversity of ideas. How's everyone doing today? So I've been watching a lot of TikTok. I like watching shorts, even on YouTube and Facebook. And I'm seeing a lot of these Latin commentary people talking about why Hispanic, Latin people, Latinos and Latinas, not going to say Latinx, that's a stupid word, and Hispanics are rejecting it. Tell John Leguizamo to chill out with that word. What was I going to say? Why they're becoming Republicans, and their low-minded answer is like, oh, because they're uneducated. And number two, they want white people to like them. And I'm going to say what Habib Nurmagomedov says, UFC champion retired. That's the number one bullshit. There is a simple reason why Latin people, Hispanics, Latinas, Chicanos are becoming Republican. And it goes like this. And let's just list them. Number one, Republicans are pro-business. Democrats are just not. They're just not. They try to hamper business at all cost. And why would they do that? Because if you become self-reliant and independent from government and its handouts, you naturally become more Republican. You naturally become more conservative. You see that the money you saved and the hard work to build a business, and everything that government getting involved in it pulls you back, makes you make back steps. You begin to realize how much government is a problem. So you end up being naturally more Republican. Number two, they're pro-family. Democrats are not pro-family. They're about destroying the family structure. And the family structure is what holds society together, and they want to redefine it. And Latin people, Hispanic people, Chicanos are just not into that. They believe that fathers are important. They believe mothers are important. And their definitions and roles are important for society, let alone for a family. And Democrats are trying to redefine all that based on this unproven bigotry that they hate transgender people and they hate gay marriage. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do, most Americans, even Republicans, don't mind if you want to have gay marriage. Don't mind that you want to call yourself transgendered. They mind when you ask society, the structures of society, to condone it. Because they believe that the best and natural way to be a mother and father and the family structure. And they know the Democrats are running from that by the forced by their extreme part of their party. And Latinos and Latinas, Latin people, are just not about it. Number three, Latin people, Latin women, Hispanic women, Chicano women are pro-life. They believe that the baby in you has rights and is valuable, and it shouldn't be considered like a toenail, clipping a toenail. There's no consequences. It's inconsequential if you get rid of it. They believe it's a life, and they believe it should be born. Democrats do not believe that. They believe that there is no more responsibility for the life that's in your stomach. They don't. And Hispanics, Latin people, Chicanos, just don't believe that. And the Democrats are running away from that. And at the end of the day, they're losing people because of these extreme beliefs. The fourth thing is Latinos, Chicanos believe in results. That you must produce results. Democrats don't believe that. They believe in intentions. So Donald Trump had a better economy, had a better relationship with the world, was better at everything. But he was an asshole, thin-skinned, acted like a baby. So because his intentions were bad, doesn't matter how good he did. Because they don't like his intentions. They think he's prejudiced and racist and all this stuff. And he says stupid stuff. So it doesn't matter how good he did. As opposed to Joe Biden, who has the good results. He is definitely one of the worst presidents we have ever had. But it doesn't matter. His motives are right. It doesn't matter how crappy he is at his job. As long as his heart is in the right place, that's okay. Well, Latinos don't believe in that. You ever seen that meme where the head of the crew goes up to the boss and says, "Hey boss, Mr. George, how much you pay for this guy?" The guy, he's all, $20. $20? No, not worth it. He's not worth $20. Latinos don't like people who cannot do their job right. They don't. They do not like that at all. You got to be good at your job. You can't Mickey Mouse it. And they will call you out and talk shit to you if they think you're a fraud, because they believe in results. You got to produce good results, and they'll make fun of you and talk shit about you if you don't. And they see all the people who are Democrats, how they allow people to be inept and not do their job rights, and those jobs are protected. Like the educational system, right? It's producing so many people with the inability to read, inability to do math, and they're giving them diplomas, and they're the high dropout rates between black and Hispanic, not Asian, because Asian people are predominantly Republican. Very few are liberal. And Democrats, because they're pro-business, pro-family, pro-life, pro-results, definitely. And Hispanics are the same. Latin people are the same. And the promises of free shit is not worth upheavaling society. And Latinos realize it. So, and they see that teachers have more power than children being able to learn. They will protect the teacher's job no matter how bad it is, and Latinos are not for that. They'll never be for that. That you have to produce the results that you were said that would happen, and if the exact opposite happens, they're going to wonder what the problem is. And after many years, they begin to put two and two together, one and one together, and they realize, oh, Democrats are all running the school systems, and the school systems are producing people uneducated, and we're at such a low rate compared to the world, and they're all Democratic run. And how many? One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can barely count. They're pro limits. They get it. You ever seen a line? If people just if there is a market and people get in line and people don't know what it is, they'll also get in line because they think they're going to get something. And they realize that there's a limit. They realize there's a limit. And if they're not in line, if they run out, then they run out. And the Latino will go, okay, I should have got in line earlier. They realize this. They realize this. Even though coming from another country, there is a point where you cannot take in any more people. Because then you're going to take that society that they ran from and you're going to transport it over here because of the wasting of the resources. This is why in every democratic city, they are in shambles. Because they have let too many people come in. They're not dealing with the people, the Americans who do need help. There are 60,000, at least in California, 60,000 homeless. And they're focusing on undocumented people coming in and giving them benefits. And not working on the problems we have with Americans. And Latinos see them, and it makes no sense to them. Some of them even came illegally, but they realize that there's only so many people who can jump in the trunk. And if you didn't get into the truck, guess what? Too bad, we can't fit no more. Democrats don't believe you can't fit no more. You can fit them and bring them all in. Bring them all in. Bring them all in because they're not coming to their town. They're going to go to places like Los Angeles and San Francisco and New York, these places, these cities where people get lost in the shuffle and they live homeless. This was the whole point Ron DeSantis was making, that all the people who call for limitless immigration are not taking any people into their town, any of these migrants into their town or in their homes. So he sent them to their rich neighborhoods and they flipped out because they only want it for you, not for them, for your city, where those cities can be over flooded with classrooms up to 40 and 50 and resources, emergency rooms filled up. They just don't care. That's why when someone tells me they believe in limitless immigration, says, how many people have you put in your family? How many people are in your house right now? How many families, immigrant families that just came over are living in your house? And why haven't you put tents up in your backyard to help these people and feed them? They're not going to do that. They're only going to suggest that for you, but not for them. And Latinos know it. And they understand it, that there's a certain point where there's enough. Even though they came over illegally themselves, they got citizenship, they worked hard, they created their own business, they lived the American dream. There's a limit where you start disintegrating the American dream. You don't want to get fit so many people onto the boat. You only can fit so many people into the house. You can only fit so many people into the streets. California doesn't believe there's a limit, and that's why there's 60,000 homeless. And not all of them are Americans. A lot of them are people who came from different countries knowing that living in California is a paradise. You don't need to be starving. You can live out in the open with a tent. They'll give you a tent. They'll give you a phone. They'll give you free food. They'll give you free health care. Come on in. We'll take all of you. It's just basic common sense. They're not pro-business. They're not pro-family. They're not pro-life. They're not pro-results. They're not pro-limits. If they can, and now here's the hypocrisy of those people who believe that there should be limits. They believe there should be limits, and I will acknowledge this hypocrisy. They believe there should be limits unless it's one of their family members. Then they want to sneak them into their room. And as long as they're willing to house them, I have no problem with it. But if you suggest it and those people are out into the streets trying to find and fend for themselves and using the resources of Americans, then there's a problem with it. We only have limited resources. I know we're a rich country, but everyone who comes in we should have room and the ability to employ them. And we should only take in people who are skilled that are going to make America better. We shouldn't take people who started off where they need America's help. People should come in saying, I can help America. And many people do. They come in, they go on the corner and they sell oranges. They're willing to do their part. They're willing to pay the taxes if they can become legal. And then they open el elote stand, right? And then an ice cream stand. And then they do a taco stand or a hot dog stand. And then they get a truck. And then they got a food truck. And then they got 2 food trucks. And then they build a restaurant. And then they're millionaires. Because all they want is an opportunity. I get that. So it's very important who we bring in and how many people we bring in. And Latinos understand that. They don't believe there should be this limited amount of people. And they know intellectually not everybody's a refugee. They're just leaving the country for a better opportunity. And I get that. But here's the truth, and nobody wants to say it. The corruption in Mexico and the lack of opportunity in Mexico and the class system in Mexico is never going to change as long as the people who are disgruntled, economically starved, can run to America. And that's why Mexico wants an open border, because it couldn't deal. If we shut the border down for 5 years, there will be revolution in that country within 5 years. They will upthrow everything, because it is crony capitalism and corruption at its worst, with some socialist tendencies that really not good, because none of the money built on capitalism goes to the government at all. They really don't have any resources for their people. Tons of people are starving in the streets. And there needs to be revolution. And most likely they'll stupidly choose some kind of socialist. And when that fails, they'll end up being a communist and free market and giving people the right to open their businesses. So, number 7. But I need to do a commercial. I got 2 more for you. Hey everyone, it's James Salazar with James Salazar Media. If I can just have a moment of your time to talk about some things that I'm doing and some free things I have for you. Let me talk about my Intellectual Anarchy show, where we engage in extreme truth, extreme common sense, and diversity of ideas, where we talk about philosophy, religion, and politics, because I think they're inseparable from having a successful life. We also have the Brightburn YouTube Academy, where we talk about the belief systems and principles in being an entrepreneur. We also have the James Salazar Media podcast, where we talk about pop culture and politics and futurism. Some free things I have for you. We have the Brightburn Society Facebook group, where you come together with people with like-minded goals, where we maximize your illumination by maximizing your human potential. That's free. You just got to join. I also have a free ebook for you called How to Be Great at Everything You Do Blueprint. Just download that. That is free to you. Also, you can check out my coaching services and my speaking services at jamessalazarmedia.com. Everything will be in the show notes of this video. Also, I have a QR code right here. You can take a picture of that and it will link you to everything I have. So that's all I have to say. This is James signing out. Have a good one. So, sorry. What happened? Oh, sorry. I'm still here. No. Shit. Wrong one. Boom? No. What did I do? Right there. Oh, hold on. There we go. Sorry, everyone. Got a little mixed up there. So, let's focus. Why are Latinos, Chicanos, Latin people becoming Republican? Why? Because Republicans are pro-business, pro-family, pro-life, pro-results, pro-limits. I want to say another thing about pro-limits. There is a hero for liberals, and it shows their uneducation, Julio Cesar Chavez, the migrant worker revolutionary activist. And they have him postered all over the wall, but they don't know that this guy was against illegal immigration because they were bringing in undocumented workers, paying them less, and the Americans that lived there, the Mexican Americans who lived there, their wages were being undermined by these immigrant workers. And he protested it and was against it. Chicano movement. Just bringing in these people to do work at a much lower pace because they were willing to do it because they came from desperate situations. Guess what? They lost that battle. The Mexican Americans lost that battle for having good wages for being working the fields. It was just done by Mexican Americans. And they wanted to keep the wages high. Well, that didn't work. Wages, they end up going with undocumented people. They eventually weeded out all the Hispanics who wanted to get paid more for it. And there's one big reason why Mexican Americans, Chicanos, Latinos don't like illegal immigration. Because though there were the benefits of it ended up biting them in the ass at the very end. Third generation Americans, Mexican Americans, lost a whole industry. Same thing with the black community. Black community, you watch the 1970s, car wash guys, black people were in all these services industries like washing cars and doing all stuff, and they got paid well. That's why they did it. They got a prevailing wage. Then illegal immigrants came in and took over that industry. Now you see nothing but illegal immigrants taking over those jobs. And as they become legal, they're willing to work for lower wages. It's just true that it happens. It's not ideal, but part of society progresses that way, and it's unavoidable. But this is the reason why Latin people don't like it. I mean, when I worked for the union, first thing you saw was these operator engineers. You would see someone who was undocumented working a machine. And the union people would be very upset. And they would not be a part of that company who had undocumented working machines at a lower wage. And businesses, they're always going to look for a profit because that's their job. If they can hire someone cheaper for the same work, they're going to do it. And Latinos and Hispanics know this. They're not ignorant of how the world works. So they know an open border just not ideal for the American society that they came to make it like the society that they came from. And listen, just the way the democratic structure works is that if you're doing a bad job, if you're having a struggle and you need help, the Democratic Party gets stronger if things go bad for you. If things go good for you and you become self-reliant and independent from government, the Republican Party gets stronger. Conservatism gets stronger. This is how the parties work. And at the end of the day, people want people who believe in them, not feel sorry for them. They never feel good, though it's needed. I'm not saying there shouldn't be no safety nets. I do. But you never feel good about it. And you want people who believe in you that you can do it, that have your side. That's why I'm a life coach. And last but not least, Republicans are pro-Americans. Democrats are not. They're the least pro-American. And even those who came illegally, even those migrant workers right now who are working hard in the streets of America, they're appreciative. They know where they came from. They don't understand. They don't comprehend and understand how people can talk bad about America. They never expect their society to be perfect because they come from a terrible society. And when they come to America, they feel like they found the land of promise. And the Americans who feel sorry for themselves, they're like, but it's not perfect, so therefore you shouldn't like it. And they just don't understand that mentality. It's better than what they had. And you got it better than what they had. And they don't understand not being appreciative of the country they're in. Of course they're pro-Mexican. They would love to stay in Mexico, but they're also pro-American. You also appreciate it. You need to live in a couple of years and be liberal to be unappreciated to the country who gave you all this economical opportunity to have a house and have your kids eat without worry and have a job that is pretty much faithful and health care. You got to be a couple of years in and turn liberal to be ungrateful for America. For those who get here, they realize how good we got it. So there are plenty of reasons why Latin people and Hispanic people are running from the Democratic Party. Those people who said all that stuff, that because they're low education, if they were taught by democratic school system, maybe, that they want to appease white people, nah. Even Republican Mexican Americans talk shit about white people. They don't want to be like them. They want to be like themselves. They just want the same opportunity as everybody else. You're full of shit. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Democrat ran from business, ran from the family, ran from babies in the room, ran from results, ran from the common sense limits, and they're ungrateful about America. Who wants to be a part of people like that? You have to be uneducated to be a Democrat, to truly not realize what Democrats offer Latin people is an open door to America and free shit. Every other value, they don't meet up. They don't agree. 90% of Latin, Hispanic, Chicano values, the Republicans hold. It's just that 10% where they allow people to come in and they'll get free stuff from government. That's what makes Latinos, the ones who are, stay Democrat because of those two things. Or they went to school and learned to be stupid and learned things like socialism and gender fluidity and transgender, and you gotta go to school to learn that crazy shit. And which is fake school. It's not real school. Not really. Unless you're an engineer, scientist, come on. And anybody who loans on these kids who want to be educated in trans theory and progressive movement, you're never going to make money off doing that. You're never. So I think that's usury because you're not intelligent enough to realize that they're taking your money and they're going to indebt you for years. That's usury. Because if there's not an education that can't be turned into cash, money in your bank, it shouldn't be loaned on. That's a scam. That's a scam. You know those online schools that are scam? Big universities are also involved in that by having financial aid for those ridiculous avenues of education. So, I mean, you got kids. You got Latin parents having their kids coming home and telling their father that he's a cis white male because his skin's light, and he needs to give out the patriarchy after he worked hard in the streets of America selling oranges, creating a business from the South, and to make these kids come out ungrateful. Thank you, Democratic Party. So it's completely logical why Latin people, I don't know why they haven't done in the future. You just have 3 years of closing the border, you'll have 90% of Hispanics becoming Republicans. Because after that, there is nothing the Democratic Party can offer them except chaos. Except chaos. And values that they don't hold. And then they're like, oh, you mean I can't get my grandpa in? My aunt in? Well, what good are you? You mean I have to believe that this dude who has a beard and hair on his back, he's a woman and he can walk into the girls' restroom? They're not going to be on board with that. They're not going to be on board with that. Just telling you the truth. This is extreme truth, extreme common sense. I have no need to lie to you. This is why Latin people are turning Republican, because Democrats went flippity-dippity crazy. And I'll say this, what Hispanic people don't like about Republican Party is that they like going to war. Hispanic people, unless they're boxers, they don't like fighting. They just don't like fighting. They like fighting amongst each other and fighting in the streets and shooting each other. The kids do. Like all kids, without fathers and families that are on their shit. It has nothing to do with race. If you don't have a father and a family, or the family's not ideal, your kids are going to be going crazy in the streets. That's just what happens. Yeah, but most of all, Latin people like to avoid war. They do. And Republicans are all about like stopping evil. So there is another way where Democrats, but I don't know. Democrats like going to war too now, right? If both being equal. So that's all I got to say about that. There's a lot more. I can break it down even more why Latin people are turning Republican. But I don't want this to be too long. I like to keep my videos short. So, and concise and to the point. Next week, I'm going to talk about why I'm not Republican. There's reasons for that. We'll get into that. So everyone, this is James signing out of the Intellectual Anarchy. Have a good one.